Minecraft speedruns suck. They are completely luck-based, and speedrunners spend all day just hoping they'll get a lucky run. Or at least, that's how it used to be. Because now, speedrunners have managed to overcome nearly every hurdle in the game. And the strategies they use have gotten so crazy, they're even able to see through walls. Here's how they do it. In a random seed speedrun, in order to beat the game optimally, you need three main things: blaze rods, ender pearls, and something to kill the ender dragon with. For a long time, speedrunners would find those things in a pretty normal manner. Blaze rods could be found by killing blazes in a nether fortress, and ender pearls can be obtained by killing an enderman, or, if you're lucky, by trading gold with a piglin. For killing the dragon, a casual player might typically use a sword and a bow. Maybe, if you were clever, you'd use snowballs to destroy the crystals that heal the dragon. But speedrunners realized there's a much faster way to kill the dragon, and it's not what you might expect. The fastest way to kill the ender dragon was actually by using beds. Let me explain. The developers of the game didn't want you to be able to sleep in the end dimension. So, as a bit of a cruel joke for the player, when you try to sleep in a bed, it causes a huge explosion, which, if positioned properly, you can use to deal massive amounts of damage to the dragon and kill it in just a few seconds. Now, getting the resources to craft all those beds would take a lot of time, and this is a speedrun. So, speedrunners would find their beds in villages. Early on, villages were basically required if you wanted to go fast, since there were three important things you got from them: beds to kill the dragon with, hay bales, which could be crafted into food for the run, and iron, which was used to craft a bucket and a flint and steel, both of which were used to enter the nether. If you've never watched a Minecraft speedrun, you might be confused as to how you managed to get the obsidian to build the nether portal. And, well, you don't. When flowing water touches lava, it turns it into obsidian, and speedrunners abuse this mechanic to make a nether portal using only a bucket in a matter of seconds. Once you get in the nether, there are areas called quadrants, which are basically 400 by 400 block areas where a structure can spawn. 60% of these structures are bastions, which are filled with piglins, and 40% of these structures are nether fortresses. So, the main strategy was to wander around randomly until you stumbled across a quadrant containing a fortress, and then kill enough blazes to get 6 or 7 blaze rods. Along the way, you would mine gold and try to find piglins to trade with for ender pearls, or maybe kill some endermen. Then, find your way back to your portal and leave the nether to look for the stronghold. The problem was, a lot of this sucked. It was extremely rare to get a world that started near a village and near a lava pool for entering the nether. It was even more rare to spawn near a fortress once in the nether, and getting good luck with piglin trades felt nearly impossible. On top of all this, you had to run all the way to the stronghold at the end, which could be anywhere between 1400 and 2800 blocks away. So, things needed to change. The most frustrating part of the run was getting ender pearls. When you give piglins a gold ingot, they have a chance to drop anywhere between 4 and 8 ender pearls. That chance is only 5%, meaning you need to get a trade that has a 1 in 20 chance 2 or 3 different times. Pretty often, you could take over 100 gold trades to get this. Now, the actual odds of these trades can't be changed through legitimate methods, but if there was a way to quickly get a lot of gold at once, you could essentially guarantee that you'll get enough ender pearls. And luckily, there was a way to do this: bastions. As I mentioned before, bastions are one of 2 structures that can spawn in the nether. They're conveniently filled with piglins, but more importantly, they're filled with gold blocks, meaning that you could get hundreds of gold ingots in as little as 30 seconds. And with all the piglins there, you could trade all that gold pretty quickly. This is when the speedrun route completely changed. Runners quickly learned all the different layouts for bastions, and made routes to quickly and safely get all the gold and trade it. All this gold essentially guaranteed that you'd be able to get enough ender pearls. But that wasn't the only thing that you could get from piglin trades. piglins traded multiple things that could be helpful for runners. Fire resistance potions, which made traversing the nether and fighting blazes safer and easier. Obsidian, which could be used to build a portal and leave the nether wherever you wanted, rather than having to run all the way back to your original portal. And string, which could be made into wool to craft beds for the Ender Dragon fight. Now that there was another way to quickly get beds, runners realized villages weren't as important anymore. If you could find some food and iron, villages weren't necessary at all. And the best place to find that stuff is actually the ocean. In the ocean, you can find shipwrecks. These shipwrecks can have up to 3 chests in them: a treasure chest, a map chest, and a food chest. Treasure chests are the most important, usually giving us enough iron for tools, a bucket, and a flint and steel. Food chests give, well, food. And although it isn't much, you can typically get enough to help you last the rest of the run. The map chest is usually wasted, but if you get lucky, the treasure on the map might be close by, and it guarantees plenty of materials and food in it. But shipwrecks aren't the only useful structures in the ocean. There are structures called ocean monuments, which are large temples in the water, and in them are 8 gold blocks, which is enough to completely eliminate the need for a bastion, if you're a bit lucky. This all sounds great, but there was a big problem with these monuments. Inside them are Elder Guardians, which, when close, would give the player mining fatigue, essentially making it impossible to mine the gold blocks inside and killing the run. But speedrunners found a way around this problem too. Before going to the monument, if you set your render distance to the lowest it can go, you can unload the Elder Guardian and make the monument completely risk-free. So it seemed like oceans were a great place to start a speedrun. But there was still one more issue. There weren't lava pools in the ocean, which meant you couldn't enter the nether. Well, actually there kinda are, because speedrunners figured out that you can make a nether portal using the lava underneath magma ravines. And it turns out this method can be just as fast, if not faster, than the normal method for making portals above ground. This is when Hypermodern was born. The idea behind this is, since the nether is where most runs die, it's best to get there as fast as possible with the bare minimum that you need to see if it's a good nether. An iron pickaxe, a bucket, flint and steel, and maybe some food. That was all you really needed. Even with all these strats, there was still a major issue with these runs. There was no way to know where a bastion or a fortress was. You still just had to get lucky. This made the nether very reset heavy, because even if there was a structure nearby, you might just run in the opposite direction and not notice it. But 2 strategies completely changed this part of the run. The first being E-Ray, which is also known as Bastion Binoculars. Bastion Binoculars uses Minecraft's F3 menu, specifically this part here, which tells you how many entities are somewhere in your field of view, even if they're through a wall. One of the entities that can be counted toward this number are piglins, and since bastions have such a large concentration of piglins in them, you can pay attention to this number, look around, and if you see it spike, that means there's a bastion somewhere in front of you. If you turn down your field of view, you can get an even more accurate reading and basically look through walls to know exactly where a bastion is. Now, the only issue in the nether were fortresses, and yet again, speedrunners found out how to solve this issue using a trick called Pyrray. Pyrray also uses the F3 menu, but this time we're looking at the pie chart in the bottom right. After messing with the settings a bit, you can make the pie chart specifically show block entities, such as chests, furnaces, bells, and the one we really care about, mob spawners. What the pie chart is telling us is what kind of block entities are rendered into the game at a certain time. Since mob spawners show up on this chart, and mob spawners can be found in nether fortresses, by lowering and raising the render distance through trial and error, you can find out the exact direction of a fortress. And Pyrray isn't only useful for finding fortresses. Since it can detect bells and furnaces, you can use Pyrray to find villages in the overworld. And even though they aren't necessary for runs anymore, they are still quick ways to get the materials you need. Anyways, runners could find structures with relative ease now. The only issue left in the nether was once arriving in a fortress, actually finding enough blazes to get the rods from. While in a fortress, the mob spawners spawn blazes at random times between every 10 and 40 seconds. There's no way to affect how quickly they spawn, but you can affect how many spawn at a time. By removing all the blocks surrounding the spawner, it gives more area for blazes to spawn, and allows the game to spawn more of them each time. Normally, you would just mine the blocks around the spawner to get rid of them. But if you want to do it a little quicker, you can use a trick called blaze bedding. Just like in the end, beds explode when you try to sleep in them in the nether. So if we position correctly, we can use a bed to instantly break all the blocks around the spawner and make collecting blaze rods much faster. With all these strategies being implemented, Minecraft speedruns became more consistent than ever, making it easier to enter the nether more consistently and having better strategies for traversing the nether. Only one major problem was left: the stronghold. With the obsidian you get from the bastion, you can build a portal and leave the nether wherever you want. But where exactly is the best place to build your portal? Using some simple math, speedrunners figured out optimal locations to put their portals to give them the best chance at being near a stronghold. But pretty often, the stronghold would still end up over 1,000 blocks away despite their best efforts. That is, until divine travel was discovered. Basically, how divine travel works is, by looking at the 0-0 chunk in your world, using either animal spawns for the overworld, or in the nether using a fossil, you can get a rough estimate of where the stronghold is in that world. This strategy can't be used in every run, but for the worlds that do have it, rather than just hoping you get lucky, you can almost guarantee that your exit portal will at least be somewhat near the stronghold, potentially saving several minutes of travel time at the end of the run. After all this, the only thing left is to fight the dragon. While in the fight, the dragon will perch at a random time, and that's when you can use your beds to kill it. While there's no way to directly get the dragon to perch, you can increase the chance of it perching by getting as far away as possible from the center of the island. And that's it. Over time, Minecraft speedruns have evolved to an unrecognizable level. It's crazy to think about how we went from wandering around hoping for good luck to being able to see through walls and manipulate RNG factors in the game. The combined work of the community has brought the record all the way down to 9 minutes and 36 seconds. And while the story of Minecraft speedrunning isn't over, it sure has come a long way. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe to Lowest Percent. They make videos like this all the time, and you should definitely stick around. And if you want to support me, my channel link will be in the description. Anyways, thanks for watching.